My name is Damon Wong. I worked on home movies pretty much from second episode on. I worked a little bit on the first episode. I did, like every other person on that show, storyboards, character design, animation, background designs, pretty much everything visually. That's how it was at that studio.
Damon Wong, the man, the myth, the legend. You said you listened to the interview episodes. You know, almost everybody mentions you at one point.
I felt like they worked me, like they pumped me up. And I think this could be like a big anticlimactic thing going on.
Well, I hate to disagree with you right off the rip, but yeah, no, I think it's going to be fine. And, you know, just to kind of, you know what, let's add to the stakes here. I'm going to be completely honest with you, Damon. When I started this podcast, and very early on, I landed an interview with Chris Georginas, which was absolutely amazing. Once I came to the realization that I could potentially interview people from the show,
yeah,
you were kind of my number one. I really wanted to talk to you. So thank you so much for doing this interview, man.
How did you know, like, hear my name or anything?
Well, from the start of the podcast, I'm obsessed with home movies. Right. It's a show that my brother and I have been watching. I mean, I remember when Adult Swim started and home movies being the first show on the first block of Adult Swim. You know, that kind of sticks with you.
Yeah.
I see your name in credits. And then, hey, man, I'm one of those dorks that I enjoy home movies a lot. I have the DVDs. I listen to commentary. And again, not to pump it up even more, but you're mentioned in the commentaries pretty regularly as well. So,
okay, yeah, I never got the DVDs or listened to them. Did you ever figure out? Like, I listened to a couple of your episodes, and it sounded like you guys never figured out. Like, everyone inserted themselves in home movies, but you couldn't. Did you guys figure out where I was inserted?
So this, I believe, I learned. This might have been a through commentary thing. I believe. Now, we were chatting a little bit before, and you were like, dude, you're probably going to know more quotes and references to home movies than I do. So if I'm getting too deep, just let me know. But I believe there's an episode, Mortgages and Marbles, where McGurk prematurely leaves his living situation. I think he moons his landlord. And as a result, he ends up staying with Melissa and Eric for a little while. And I believe in that scene, they are eating some Chinese food. And I want to say in commentary, they said that it's your face on the Chinese food.
I don't know about that.
Okay. So which one then, what is the actual self-insert of your character?
Okay. To preface this, I did not design my character.
Okay.
It was a friend on the show, D. Boyd, that designed my character.
Okay.
We all kind of tried to draw ourselves into it, but like I don't think I drew myself. I kind of, like, my philosophy, I'm mostly like editing and storyboards, but when I can do character design, but I don't take it as seriously as other people. Like, Phil takes it very seriously. Like, if you listen to him in his character design stuff, he goes really deep into it. Yeah. I just fuck around with storyboards, and I just want to make someone laugh about it. But for home movies, I think I've got a lot of my characters inside the show, just because I'm just trying to make someone laugh. So in my philosophy, it was like, I'm not character designing myself. You guys make fun of me, right? Right. So my philosophy is, which is kind of like semi-bullyish, was like, if you're gonna draw someone, if you're not hurting their feelings, you're not doing your job.
Okay.
So I didn't want to do it for myself. So my friend did it, and she drew me into it. And I looked at it and I was like, "Why'd you draw me so old?" And granted, we're in our 20s then. Right. Remember the episode where, I don't know, it's like early episode where they're in a car and then she's honking, and there's an old person asleep at the car. You're like, "Come on, old people!" And then Brendan's like, old people.
Yes.
I'm actually in front of the car. I'm like asleep in the car.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then do you know, are you also the guy that works at the liquor store?
Maybe, but I also was the guy that did
The eye surgery.
eye surgery on McGurk. And
Yes.
that's like the one quote I still quote from the show, which, I haven't quoted that show for a lot. I mean, I did quote like, what was that? Fix It in Post one. I always quote that.
Yes.
But then the eye surgery one, I always do like, reading hurts your eyes. I always say that. Like, I've been on so many dates where like when I was single, I always end up with someone that like is more like they read way more than I do, and I don't read anything because I got like a major case of ADHD, and I can't read a paragraph without having to read it over again 3 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always say like reading hurts your eyes to them, and I don't think I never get second dates. Anyway.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're like, ooh, what a charmer that one.
Yeah. But then in my head, I'm just quoting home movies, and I chuckle to myself. But actually, like in my 30s, I think late 30s, I actually got like a steady girlfriend because she was actually a home movies fan and appreciated.
Yeah.
That I quoted it, but then she it blew her mind that I actually worked on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's because it's such a special thing. It's like it's almost like a secret handshake when you meet someone else out in the wild that also enjoys the show. And it's so great. So let's start here now. Give me a breakdown of how you just fell in love with art, be it as a kid or in your teens, and how that inevitably led to you working on the show Home Movies.
Well, let's see. I guess according to my mom, I've always been drawing. Like as far as I can remember, I like to draw. Like that's the one thing I like to do, and I think I got like attention for it, like from teachers and stuff. So that kind of reinforced things ever since kindergarten, I think.
Yeah.
And then my brother also drew a lot too. And then he was more of the smart kid, but he also drew a lot, which was one of his several talents that he had. But I mostly drew things, and I was known as the kid that could draw stuff.
Nice.
And yeah, I guess it just from there it started just evolving from, like I used to draw a lot of. I was into football. I drew a lot of football. There was a point where I like cars and Transformers. I drew that, and then Robotech came, and I drew that. And then at some point, I don't know, like in high school, my art teachers kind of focused me into thinking that I was going to go into the fine arts, like painting and stuff like that. And it was just fine. I liked it. I did well. I never really considered animation, even though I like to tell people back then that I was going to be a Walt Disney animator. But I didn't really know what that meant. In a weird way, I guess it kind of sticks when you do that. And then I know you ask some people about like their influences, and like everyone growing up will have like their favorite cartoons.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like the real Ghostbusters, Muppet Babies, and there was of course the Transformers, Thundercats. What else was there? You mentioned Robotech was a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really got me into robots. And then I think at some point, like the whole cartoon thing kind of dimmed down, and I think I watched like Monty Python's Flying Circus, and then that was like completely different. And I remember Terry Gilliam's animation in those cutout animations.
Yeah,
I think that kind of like my brother was also going to college, and he came back from college, and he kind of guided me toward things. I don't know. He kind of like talked me up into trying to expand myself beyond just, my typical interests, I think. Like, I think he actually got into film and studied it. And then, let me see, he went to Brandeis. He was 2 years older than me. And then it's kind of like muddy because a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
But let's say like all the way into high school that I thought I was going to go into the arts. And then when college came about, I went to Carnegie Mellon, and that's when I actually kind of didn't think I was going to go into the arts because the art department there was so, I don't know what they call it, artsy fartsy. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if like art colleges are like I think some YouTube pages are like they try to YouTube artists, you know, they're more like concerned with anatomy and stuff, technical stuff.
Sure.
But I think it was like when I went to art school, it was more artsy fartsy stuff, like concept art, where they'll talk about performance art, mixed media stuff, and like Carnegie Mellon, like their biggest celebrity from the art department there was Andy Warhol. So in a weird way, so like, you know, all this time from childhood to high school, I was thinking that I'm going to be you know, what I wanted to be was like Rembrandt, right?
Yeah.
Like dark paintings, semi, you know, stylistic, but kind of based on realism, a little dark. I remember Geiger, was that the guy that did Aliens?
Oh, yeah.
Alien stuff. I remember seeing a book on him, and I remember I wanted to try to go like really dark.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. I told this in another podcast, but the story goes that my brother got the film bug. He was an American studies major at Brandeis, but then he got the film bug in Boston, and he tried to switch majors like in his senior year. But then he loved film so much that, you know, everything that he talked about rubbed off on me, sort of.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I lived with him kind of like after my junior year, and he's about to graduate in Boston, and he got like a job at a video store. I don't know, that doesn't exist anymore, but it was called Video Smith. And he would just rent free movies, and he would just rent them, and then we would watch it on a small little TV, and we would talk about them. Like he would read books like about just like film theory.
Yeah.
But he loves Scorsese. We always watch Scorsese, not like all the time. And, you know, once in a while, you know, he would watch other movies that were like more, I don't know, he was a lot smarter than I was about film. You know? But the thing is, like, you know, he'll talk about it, and then it will kind of rub off on me a little bit here and there. And he really wanted to be a video editor.
Yeah.
And I don't know about like back then, like this was 1999.
Yeah.
Around 2000, where like there's no such thing, like to have a non-linear editing software would be a luxury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So everything was linear. We had to get like dual decks of like SVHS decks and edit things that way. So he wanted to be a video editor after college, but he was stuck with this American history or American studies degree from Brandeis, which was only useful for like if you're going to be a lawyer. But he didn't want to do that. Or maybe I can preface this that I also grew up in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Hawaii. That's a little important because we moved to Boston, and he didn't want to move back to Hawaii.
Oh.
He didn't want, it was kind of like, if you grew up in Hawaii, it's not that big a deal. Like
right.
When you grow up in Hawaii and you're smart and you aspire, you want to leave the islands.
Right.
But also, you know, I don't think the relationship with our mom was great. So he didn't really want to move back, even though he struggled after college. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, he worked at a video store. He wanted a video editing job. After I graduated, I moved to Boston to try to help him out. He still worked there. And like the summer before I got the job at Tom Snyder Productions, I was doing temp jobs, and I was like touring like community access stations. Do they have that there? Do they have that now?
Like a community access chat, like a public access channel you can like have like your own personal like show on?
Yeah. I was like looking for that so that I could get access to like equipment. Like
sure.
I wanted to help him out because I wanted to do film too. Because at some point in college, I think they actually tried to kick me out of college. Like they tried to kick me out of the department because I wasn't taking things seriously. And I think that's when I stopped doing art. But I still kept a sketchbook. Anyway, It's all disjointed.
You're good.
It's a little iffy because it's like I don't know. I don't know if this interview is gonna be good because it's kind of like everything's kind of nonlinear. Where my brother influenced me with his knowledge in film, but then it also kind of reflected within home movies itself too.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to so at some point I was wanting to work on this documentary with my brother about street performers in Harvard Square.
Okay.
And we didn't have any equipment. So I was looking to see if we can work at a community access station. And, there's like a community access station in like every city. So we tried touring Cambridge and Boston and Somerville in the area. If you're familiar with Boston, you'll know what that is. But then I think at some point I saw an ad for actual video editor, which is quite rare to see in Boston, like a video editing job.
Yeah.
And I applied because I actually had I think it was for not video, it was for a video editing assistant.
Okay.
And that was at TSP at Tom Snyder Productions. And then I interviewed with Ivan Rudrick there. He was like the editor for Dr. Katz.
Yeah.
And then I showed him my crappy student film stuff. Actually, I like the two things I hate the most in life is to go to a student film festival and watch student films, or I hate saying this, I don't like watching ethnic film festivals. Like if I'm at an Asian American film festival, it's like, oh, I just want to stab myself. I don't know what it is. It's just a painful thing for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I showed him my crappy student film, which is painful to watch now. And then I think I qualified enough, but then he also saw that on my reel I had some animation on it, which was from an animation class I took at Carnegie Mellon, Pittsburgh filmmakers, I think. And it just had like walk cycles of people just walking left and right. And I think you heard that Tom Snyder didn't really hire animators; they hired illustrators.
Right.
So when they saw this, they were like, "Oh wow, okay, this is great." And then I think they hired me on the spot, and then, but it was for they wanted to hire me as kind of like both animator and video editor, or assistant editor for what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when I got there, I think not a lot of people knew how to edit and animate at the same time. I think Chris was the other one that actually had video editing knowledge at the time, as well as animation. And then I kind of was there. So whatever I did, I got the chance to edit my own stuff, which was helpful because the way that they work, if you remember, they use this thing called Animator Pro,
mm-hmm.
which is they'll draw a loop and it'll play, and then they record that loop onto the Avid, which is almost equivalent to your mom recording audio by putting a microphone to the TV,
right?
Rather than attaching it directly to the TV, they'll just put the microphone to the TV and you can hear everything going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, being that I could edit my own stuff, I knew what I could draw and then put together. So I didn't have someone else interpreting the drawings that I did and putting it together and making their squiggle vision stuff. I don't know. It was pretty disjointed. I wish I...
Oh, no, I mean, that's amazing. The fact that, so many people that I talk to, it's so very much yes, you were into drawing. And for maybe a second, you were like, I'm going to be a Disney animator, which seems like that was always a similar thread with a lot of the animators is, oh, I'm going to animate for Disney. And then they start hearing the process and stuff like that. And they're like, okay, maybe not that, but still something.
Yeah. I mean, I was everyone's really nice, what you interviewed, and they really loved the show and all. But I think when my personality there was I was the grouchy pissed off artist.
Yeah.
At the studio. And I had a pretty big ego.
Yeah.
And I probably still do. It's underneath the layers of things. But I think working on Bob's Burgers right now, it humbles you a little bit more because the people I work with are like have been are either like legends in their own right or are like legend adjacent, you know?
Yeah.
Like people I work with, they're like some people are like, "Oh my god, you worked on home movies." I'm like to them like, "Oh my god, you worked on Animaniacs. Holy crap."
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. So funny you say that too, because just a little peek behind the curtain for this podcast. I have, a group of friends that do enjoy home movies and they do listen to the podcast and they enjoy the interviews. And so when I told them, I'm like, oh, hey, I'll be interviewing Damon Wong here pretty soon. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. I'm like, yeah, we're going to do it now because he's on a break from Bob's Burgers. And they're like, really? That's awesome. So it's like just saying that like suddenly adds this extra layer of credibility to everything. So yeah, it's just so funny that people look at you and be like, oh, and Bob's Burgers. Meanwhile, you're looking at people being like, oh, and Animaniacs. I love that show.
Yeah, like some of those guys like worked on like I know I was amazed by Animaniacs, but some of them worked on like Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, you worked on Roger Rabbit, and we're like, or like they worked next to like other like animation legends of that time of like Disney. Was that studio that kind of always tried to challenge Disney but didn't? Like they did like American Tail.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that guy. They worked on the Little Mermaid,
yeah,
stuff like that, and you're just like, wow, okay. And then the thing is, like, someone that grew up like for me, I think a lot of people that go into arts are like, of course, you're into Bugs Bunny and Warner Brothers,
sure,
and it would always be like that or Walt Disney, but. Like, truth be told, I am way more of a Bugs Bunny guy than a Mickey Mouse person.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, even though I say, like I was going to be a Walt Disney animator, it's just because Walt Disney is the best out there,
right.
At least in America, right?
Yeah.
That's like me saying I want to work in Studio Ghibli, but do I really know what that is?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So now when you got hired on for this show, you said you worked on basically like from the beginning, right? From episode 1 or?
Yeah, like I think I got trained on parts of episode 1. Like I think the pilot already got picked up. They were still just putting things in there. And I think they gave me like that thing that I forgot what you call it, but when you go to commercials, there's a little
like the bump.
Yeah, bumpers.
Yeah.
So I did like, since I liked guerrilla filmmaking, like one of my favorite filmmakers at the time was Robert Rodriguez. And
nice.
He wasn't like the big guy. His main thing that I loved was like El Mariachi, since it was such run and gun stuff. So I did that thing where, was it Melissa? On roller skates or something?
Okay. So as soon as you said El Mariachi, it flashed in my head. The episode is called Shore Leave. Melissa is working for the fairy princesses, right? She has the umbrella. She throws the hairspray in the microwave.
Yeah. That was my scene.
Yeah. And as she's walking away, that shadow. And I think even in the episode, I was like, hey, there's this movie, Mariachi, and then, Desperado. And I was like, and it was the same thing where the main character, his face was like always in that shadow. And well, I think I understand why now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think you got to I probably was thinking what you're thinking right now, but I don't remember that part. But yeah, that was the thing with like my brother working at a VHS store, is that he was a smart guy. Like he actually passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, I think like after he passed away, it's sort of like I lost that brain of like filmmaking.
Yeah.
Like he was really into like film technique.
Right.
And I remember like one of the first episodes, this is the second episode where Jason said something to the degree of like day or night, like Truffaut, right?
Right.
And I think at that time I actually watched that and I actually said something about like French New Wave at the studio. And I think Chris Georginas or Lauren was like, oh, this guy's a film buff. And I was just like, oh, I'm just in my head. I'm like, yeah, but the truth was, I'm just regurgitating what my brother had said. But he would always just like bring movies and show them to me and talk about them and read about them. And the thing is, it was just like he. Sorry if I go into silence because it's just
No, you're good.
like, let me think. Like he loved filmmaking. He wanted to be a filmmaker, but what he passed away from was scleroderma, which gave him lung cancer.
Oh man.
So the thing is, like, we always had issues with my brother when we're in Boston because I always thought he could do more, but I didn't know that he was sick at the time.
Oh,
And he didn't know. We didn't know.
right.
So there was a whole thing about like, you should move back to Hawaii, continue your education. But he really wanted to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And when I got the job at Home Movies, it was just like a big thing,
Yeah.
It was like, oh, wow, you can do, you're like in the ballpark.
Right.
So even though like I wanted to go into film, but then got into animation, it's still the same ballpark. And then I got to do Home Movies, which was kind of, as a little kid aspiring to be a filmmaker.
Right.
It kind of like, it was a fun thing to do. Like every time they would have a new episode, I was not supposed to, have him listen to the audio, but we listened to the audio.
Right.
And he enjoyed it. He loved it. It was one of his favorite things to do. And then, it's just like your brother's like your biggest fan, right?
Yeah.
And like my whole thing with Home Movies was just like, not only am I trying to entertain my friends at the studio and get like some cute girls to laugh at it, it was also to like get, my brother laughing because he was the biggest fan of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I lived with him, but we had our issues because
Sure.
he's my older brother. So I looked up to him and I wanted him to do good, but yeah, he struggled. And then Home Movies got canceled. Things moved on, but it was just like, I don't know. I'm not the smart guy as I thought it wasn't film. I still do. I'm still good. Like in Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
I'm still like at least maybe like top 10% in, say, the board artists there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Looking back at the Home Movie stuff is like, even though I'm a better animator now, back then I think I actually was a smarter filmmaker back then.
Right.
Well,
I think Home Movies, for someone who did want to be in that world of filmmaking, Home Movies is almost the perfect avenue for animation because you still do get to flex that kind of movie muscle a little bit, right?
We got to do everything from storyboard all the way to animation.
Yeah.
I remember it was that Melissa episode where like when she's escaping and Brendan's escaping.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember it was just like, I mean, it wasn't one of their movies, but I still got to insert a bunch of film technique in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, I got to make sure that there was like, they're cross-cutted between the two escaping at the same time.
Yeah.
So it built up tension. And I remember I was a pretty big hothead back then. And I might still be now, but I work from my desk and the people that are in charge are in LA. So they don't get to see how much of a hothead I am. But I remember the video editor re-edited everything where it was not cross-cutting between one scene to the other. It was actually one scene shown and the next scene shown. And I was so angry that he did that. And I made sure that they switched it back. But then I was like, if I look back at myself again, I know everyone wants to slap their younger selves in the face. And I really wish I handled it better. Especially like I get so emotional over like at Home Movies. But I guess I had nothing else going for me at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned the getting canceled at UPN. So you were there from essentially episode 1 and the show gets canceled. When it comes back for that Adult Swim run, were you brought on, like immediately brought back as soon as it came back?
Yeah. It's definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to go back too. But I think at the time we're still doing Squiggle Vision, but there was like, the program was coming to like an end because I think you talked about it with Chris where it was the program was in DOS, and DOS was not going to continue.
Right.
And then I think we all kind of were itching for something else. I think there were, like, for me, I was like, I can do better than this, but I don't know if I could do pen and paper, just like pencil and paper. But we did as much as we could out of Animator Pro, but there was just like a grotesque limitation in that program. Like, you only were allowed like 256 colors. You couldn't import sound to try to animate to. Yeah, and not only, like, it was also in, like, the operating system, DOS was so, I don't know, it was too much. It was like, you have to type out all your commands in DOS. Like, even to just like move a file from one folder to the other, you have to type it out. Like, yeah, it wasn't great. And then there's a lot of mistakes that can happen if you're just kind of sloppy. And if you're trusting artists to be precise, it's not going to happen.
Right.
There's so many times where like files got written over. Like, even for me, who I think I'm technical, like, a lot. Like, I think we got a computer that we were supposed to experiment with, that was stronger than all the other computers in the studio. And then I did something, and I was playing around with a program that I downloaded, and I tried to uninstall it after I was done with it, and said, but being that memory was, it was valuable at the time. Like, we didn't have computers that had more than like 1 gigabyte memory. Right. So you had to delete anything that you didn't want. So I uninstalled the program, but being that I installed it on like the main part of the C drive, I don't know, it's really technical.
Yeah.
The uninstaller was not smart enough to say, I'm just going to install the program. It just said, I'm going to erase everything on the C drive.
Oof.
So it like, I almost like destroyed the fancy pants computer. It was just so, there's none of that. I feel like old man, but like, the operating systems have gotten so like advanced since then.
Yeah.
Like, we were Windows 95. That's how bad we were.
Right. Yeah, not to show my age or anything, but I do remember using MS-DOS prompts to play like Doom on my family computer in the in the mid 90s. So yeah.
Yeah. It was a struggle, and there are some qualities to it where you do remember things better now than you do now.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember a phone number.
Oh yeah.
It was very problematic, especially if you're working on a team and all working on a server.
Yeah.
And then I remember as it was going to get discontinued. Let me think. I think we were all trying to salvage that look of Squiggle Vision.
Yeah.
Because I think the way that Tom Snyder, the head of the studio back then, kind of saw it as kind of, it's like, it's your brand, right?
Yeah.
Let's try to make Flash animation squiggle. And I think we came up with like several ways to squiggle it. But in the end, it was just like, squiggling was done because it was easy. Now we're working really hard to make it look squiggly, which is kind of backwards,
Right.
So, and by the way, it's like, I know Tom Snyder, he started the studio and everything, and it was under his name, but he was not really an animation guy. Like, if you ever listen to his interviews, he actually doesn't like animation. So there was a group of us that, we watch animation. We know that, like, if a frame is still, it's okay. It doesn't have to move around where, like, it has to get the attention of like a little kitty cat. It has to move around. Like, no, it doesn't. You can just be still, and you can add noise, and the audience will fill in the blanks. Like in anime, like, many times when there's a crowd shot, it's just a still frame shot, and it's just the noise.
Yeah.
And everyone just, buys into it. You don't have to animate every single person.
Yeah.
So I think there was a big debate in studio about going away from Squiggle Vision. But at the same time, while we were doing home movies, Dr. Katz was still going on.
Sure.
So it was kind of like a divergence in the studio. But in doing that, we needed like stronger computers. We all need the licenses to, get Windows 2000 at the time. Yeah, it was way better though, because now, like, I can check my email at work.
Yeah. That's a good point. And so I want to ask you, you worked on home movies in the early 2000s. You're working on Bob's Burgers now. With the technology change and everything like that, like how different is your workflow for a typical day working on an episode of Bob's Burgers versus what your workflow for a typical day when you worked on home movies?
Home movies was, I think it was a rarity back then. And like no one would ever think of the storyboard or finishing the animation, you know?
Right.
So in that sense, you kind of got, I think, a certain satisfaction as an artist where you get to do the thing that you thought of in your head, you know?
Yeah.
While like later on, it sort of became like a pipeline, like animation pipeline, where like the strengths of home movies, like I think it goes for everything. The strengths always can be the weakness, where like, okay, so I can animate the whole thing. It looks great, but this looks like it was done by me, and everyone can tell it's done by me. And there's some discontinuity within the show. We're kind of all, and the idea is to aim for a show that looks like the continuity is good. You won't be able to tell who did what.
Right.
Even though, like, say in anime, sometimes like if you can sometimes see an animator taking over a certain part of the show because that guy is considered a rock star in animation.
Right.
I'm not sure how to describe it, but I think in Japan it's a different culture there. So
yeah.
For here, it's like you don't want to be able to tell that, you know, this is a Damon scene or this is, you know, a Carrie scene or something else. So I think for Bob's Burgers, it's sort of like I'm stuck either doing a certain role in the pipeline.
Right.
So at one point I was just doing thumbs where I just kind of sketch out really basic blocking of how a scene will go throughout the show. And then other times, there's another time I'm just this board artist where I'm fleshing out these thumbs for the director, and they're more judging things based on acting or if it works visually. Like sometimes you do things in a really sketchy, like I don't know how to describe thumbs, but it just looks like stick figures.
Right.
And then so if you put detail in it, like it might designate, you know, just mood of the scene or how it's blocked out or what the composition is, but minus the acting. So like right now I'm a board artist, so now it just concentrates mostly on the acting. So it's sort of like I might not be working on the stuff that I thumbed. While like in Bob's Burgers, you know, I could work on the board all the way to the very end. Or even like I think if there's a time crunch and some people are free, we can work on someone else's boards and we can insert our own things going on. But it's a little different because like if someone worked on the board and you work on it, you're just kind of filling in the blanks, right?
Right.
So, you know, if a guy draws someone like with a note saying he's dancing and there's just like kind of rough dancing, you get to put it on beat. You get to draw the faces that go with it. And it can be fulfilling in a way where if you board something and then another guy takes it over and he's more talented than you'll be like, holy shit, I didn't even think of that. It's exciting in that way, but in a way of like feeling ownership over your work, I would say home movies, you definitely remember more than I should remember. Like I definitely remembered back then, but like I can't, watching old home movies, I'm like, oh, did I do that scene? I don't know. Did I do this? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Or like, did I board that scene and someone else finished it? Because I don't think that's the way I draw fingers, you know?
Well, with that being said, do you have a favorite scene from home movies that you definitely remember? Like, oh yeah, that was my scene. I love doing that. That was such a fun scene to do.
Okay. I remember watching early home movies, and I think I actually worked on, I'm not saying it's my favorite, but I did work on the one where Brendan turns into a monster. Like, I'm a monster. And I remember working on it and watching that now. It's kind of painful. Like, oh, like I would totally do something different right now. But
right.
It's like, you're actually thinking like, okay, these are kids. They're doing movies. So it shouldn't be that good.
Right.
Like they should be like breaking every filmmaking rule. And I did. I wasn't that good. But it was still like everyone was still impressed by that. And I did like how I pushed the program. Like the program says you can do 256 colors, but it doesn't say what colors you can use. So as long as you're using 256 colors, you can choose whatever those colors are. So, and I did that. So I kind of pushed the program a little further. So, I did shadowing on that. It's just the lip sync kills me. It's just okay. So favorite sequences I did. I don't know. The ones that I remember are just like parts of it. Like I was talking with Jack Ferriello. He was a sound editor of home movies. And I remember this was like, I actually went, I don't go back to my brother, but like I actually got the job. Like I visited, I was carrying the ashes of my brother back to Hawaii. And I stopped over at LA to meet with Lauren. And I had a good meeting. I did a little bit of training there. But then I also talked with Jack Farrell. He moved out there just recently because I think he most recently worked on Walt Disney Channel thing about frogs stuff. I never got a chance to watch it, but it was about frogs. But I talked with him there and I said like, that scene, jazz fight, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I think that scene got me this job. Because I think that's when Lauren went like, oh, wait, who is this guy? Because that scene was not supposed to be good.
Right.
They were like, that's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. But then I remember Lauren, after I showed my storyboard, he was like, that's like the best thing that And if it was Bob's Burgers, this would have been cut and changed and someone else would have taken it and I probably would have like been demoted or something. But they're still like, yeah, keep it. It's really good. It did a lot of work. But that was one of the scenes that I told Jack, like, I thank you because he edited the sound to it. And he told me like, you know what, that scene, their scatting was like, I want to say like, he had hours of them just jabbering.
Yeah.
Scat. And he put together the scat and then he put the music together and then I got the music and then I kind of just did whatever to it, right? And I remember Lauren, I think that part where he's like,
Yeah.
Jason's doing that, and then I did a swish pad, and then I just kept it spinning, like if the camera was spinning on the tripod multiple times. So
yeah.
And I remember Lauren was like, "What the fuck was that?" Like I'd never seen that before. It's like, this is some new technique that you developed, and I was just like, I just felt like it. I didn't know what to do in between there, and I just had it kept spinning, and it matched.
Yeah.
And then it stopped, and then they would just continue battling. And then I think he was just like, "Whoa, okay." I think, like when I say I think I was a smarter filmmaker back then. It was like shots like that where I'm like, I haven't seen that ever in any movie, and I just kind of made it up because I don't know, I had nothing else to do, nothing else going on. So that scene, I think, got me the job at Bob's Burgers. But then also the escape scene of Melissa, the one you talked about, that one where they cross cut, and I remember where she's walking with her face cut off. I think I was watching like Akira. Like there was one scene where Tetsuo, he stumbled out of his hallway, and then two like nurses tried to approach him, and he kind of waved his hand, and then he blew them up, and then body parts were like he was walking toward the camera, and then body parts were falling behind him. And I remember like, I'm going to do that with Melissa. It was like whatever I watched maybe somewhere in that month, I just really wanted to insert it into home movies. So there was a bunch of that. And I remember that part where Brendan sees, what's his name again? Muley? Fenton's mom naked, right?
Yes. And
then there's that where he sees Fenn's mom, and then it kind of alternates really quickly from like zoom out and zoom in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm talking like high film.
No, you're good.
But that's the way I saw it. Like, oh my God, that like I'm gonna be like editing it. So like that was inspired more like The Graduate, where when he sees Mrs. Robinson and there's like flashes of her body like here and there. And then I think also like Robert Rodriguez, he did that. Was it that vampire movie?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, where like was it George Clooney goes into the room and discovers that his brother is a psycho and just killed the people.
Yeah.
And he would also do the same where there'd be just flashes of, the carnage that he did
Yeah.
in that room. And I remember thinking, okay, what can I do for this? I want to do that, but I'm just going to go back and forth really quickly. So it's the strobing effects and one zooming out, one zooming in, and then you can't really see the nudity that's in there. And then, Brendan is like, this is a pivotal moment where he sees a grown woman naked. And I remember doing that and I was just very proud of myself. You can still hear I'm very proud of myself for that.
There is one scene that I believe was credited to you that I wanted to ask you about. Do you remember in the camp episode where Coach McGurk eats some bad leaves and then has like a little hallucination sequence?
Yeah, that part was me. So,
yeah.
Well, and the thing is, like, at that point, we actually hired like a legit animator. I forget his name. I want to say Nikolay, but he was actually like some guy from Bulgaria or Bolivia.
Yeah.
No, Bulgaria, I think. And he was like I thought I was good, but then I saw him, what he drew, and I was trying to animate a horse. And then when he started animating a horse, he knew what he was doing. Like, I was like, holy shit. This guy. Oh my God. Like, I actually felt threatened in a weird way, but also like, oh, this is what a real animator. But he loved animation too. We actually had lots of people that worked on the show that, like, Pascal Champion, like he's really well known right now, and he used to work on the show. And the thing is, like, him and Nikolay, I think that's his name, they actually did see like Sam and Max's animations in the beginning. I'm not sure. Did I talk about that before?
We talked about it, before the interview.
Yeah, I think they saw that and they were also like, holy shit, this is great. And they loosened up like a lot after seeing their animations. And I remember Nikolay saw that part where McGurk comes out. He's just like, what's going on? And then all those guys start rising out of the grass.
Yeah.
And chanting his name or something like, man cry or something.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, everyone, like, he was, like, Nikolay was like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? Like, I get to animate that. What did you do? How did you do that? Because it was just like, I stole that from Roni Kenshin, which was a show that I think that was also on Adult Swim, about that samurai that didn't want to kill anyone anymore, and he had a blade that was on the other side of his sword, so he just bludgeoned people. So yeah, there was a scene of that in the beginning where like the background is moving one way and the foreground is moving the other way, so it looks like it's rotating around the character. And in that sense, it was just like it was a 2D trick from anime that kind of was like brought a lot of energy to the scene. As I watch it now, it was like, oh, this is a lot less exciting than I remember.
And it's so funny too, because I know the exact scene you're talking about, and I think we spent a good like 10 minutes just talking about that scene and like how cinematic it is. And I'm like, we're panning this way and they're circling that way, and you're just like, yeah, it looks like whatever, it's fine. So
that was the thing. It's just like home movies is kind of like, there's a bunch of kids doing film, but then me and Dave San Angelo, we tried to elevate what they did. Like they're not just any kids just putting together films. Like they did some of their homework. They want to make good films. Like Spielberg didn't do shitty films. It's like he tried very hard to make it as professional as they could.
Yeah.
Even though, you can still see that they're limited by what they have.
Oh yeah, it's so great to see this just amazing high concept thing happening, and then you're like, oh yeah, but the windows are still made of cardboard because they're 8. Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Do you have a favorite character overall in the show?
I know your podcast buddies hate me saying that. I like Jason a lot. I like McGurk.
Yeah.
I like John Benjamin's take on things. He was like, when we got the audio, it was always like fun because he was always off. Like you can tell he's off script. He's just he's kind of a troublemaker. He'll say things that just catch you off, and I think that was like a thing that if you want to be good at not stand up, improv, you should be a troublemaker. Like you should always like make the other person that you're working off of, like make his work, like make it difficult for him to come
Right.
up with something,
Yeah.
And he would do that, and he would just say like funny stuff all the time. And those, I wish the public could hear the stuff that would get cut out because it
Yeah.
was always the parts where you're just like, "What do you mean you cut out that part? That was the best part."
Yeah.
I don't know. I still feel that way.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you should cut out the parts where everyone's laughing.
Right. Right. Yeah. With as much as I heard about, the retro scripting and him going off script, the cutting room floor has to just be filled with like so much gold of him and Brendan and Melissa.
Yeah. Like Melissa's not, she was just producer / assistant on the show. Like, but she works so well. Like she has such good chemistry with John Benjamin.
Yeah.
And Brendan.
Oh, absolutely. Although so many scenes that I feel like John Benjamin goes out of his way to bully Melissa. And
it's like, what do you have against her?
Right. She seems so nice.
It's like he bullies her with McGurk and then bullies her with Jason, like nonstop, and she just takes it.
Yeah.
And I think that's in real life. Like if you see her like interacting with them, she just kind of takes it and she just goes with the flow. It's kind of like this is not her job as voice acting. Like I don't think has she done any voice acting besides like on Lauren stuff?
I really don't think so. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't think she does. I don't think it's her thing that she wants to do. And I remember like hearing her background is like she's mostly production and
When I really started kind of deep diving the show for the podcast, I think I read one article that said at the beginning she was just kind of the talent scout, like hitting comedy clubs and stuff and looking for comedians and voice actors and whatnot. And it reminded me of the story of Phyllis from The Office. She originally was just an assistant who read with a lot of the characters, but she had such great chemistry with so many characters. They're like, "Hey, you're a character now." Yeah,
I felt like your fiance Adele. I think the singer Adele. I think that's what happened to her. I think.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, she's just singing. She just wanted to be a talent scout, but then she just like, oh, I'll just do like audio filler. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, this girl can sing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think she could do this like professionally if she wanted to. But
absolutely. Another question I have about home movies: did you ever think that the show would be as popular as it is 25 years later? Did you think in 25 years after the show was over, some random guy was going to send you an email and ask you to do an interview for a home movies rewatch podcast?
No, I don't. No. I mean, I heard like from Steve that people like approach him and saying, "Oh, you're wearing your sweatshirt," and I love that show. And like, part of me is still like in disbelief, but I did mention that I dated someone that didn't know I worked at home movies, and then I remember I was texting her and she actually wrote back I wrote her like, "So what you doing today?" It's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna watch home movies, rewatch some home movies, and drink some wine." And I was like, "Oh, I worked on that show." And then it blew her mind, because then she started like telling me everything. Like she's like, "Oh, it helped me through my divorce, blah blah blah." I was just like, "Really? That show? That's a show about a kid that does little home movies. Really? It helps me." And then actually, like after I broke up with her, I like actually dated someone else that, well, just went on 1 or 2 dates. Like she actually loved home movies too, but then she didn't actually find me physically attractive, so it didn't work out. But she like reared her head again, saying about McGurk and stuff. And I tried to like cash in on that and drew like a McGurk for her, but then she still didn't find me attractive. So it was strange in that way, because it was just like that's too much of a coincidence. Like I hardly date, and like 2 out of the 4 people that I try to date are big home movies fans. Like it changed their lives.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard other people like interview like Lauren and the other actors about it, and part of me still doesn't believe it. But the way that you and Steve and maybe some other people talk about it, it's like they could probably have like a little thing at at Comic-Con and it would be packed.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, because I've been part of the fandom from the beginning, but in the last year and a half or so, because of this podcast, I've been really diving in deep. And I mean, dude, there are very active Facebook groups, subreddits. I mean, very active fandoms of home movies. So
yeah, it's weird to me because like I know like when it was first released, they had fans coming on, and I would sort of kind of interact with the fans like on message boards. But like right now, it's even crazier.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to tell people. Like to me, it's like it's just like to me, it's just like oh, that's just what I did back in my 20s.
Right. Right.
Like big things happened in there, but it was not the show. Like 9/11 happened during when I was working on home movies.
Yeah.
And then like little known fact, like it was done in Watertown, Massachusetts. And I remember that guy that blew up Boston Marathon.
Oh yeah.
And they were hiding like in Watertown, like hot places and stuff. And like a whole bunch of us on Facebook got together and were like, oh, he's hiding like they got snipers on Striptease, which was a place where we had lunch a lot. Like the lady there, the person who takes her order was very rude, but that's her thing. Like she's rude to you. She was an ex-bodybuilder, but she's lovely in real life. But that was the thing there. Like she was rude to you, but the food was good. But yeah, there's a sniper right there. Oh, look, there's a diner where like me and I were sitting at when 9/11 happened, and me and I were just like, oh God, I really hope it's not the Chinese because we're very, very Asian right now. It was just like there was like on Facebook a little home movies like reunion because of the Boston bomber guy.
Oh wow.
Boston Marathon bomber guy.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, so how's Lauren? And I was like, oh, he's doing good. Home movies is going great.
Oh.
Yeah. Like to me, yeah, it's like pivotal things that happen in my life, but everyone's like, trying to analyze like the gnome. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I attach scenes to things that happen in studio. Like just, people have their lives there, like some people had divorces during the show,
Yeah.
It's like a lot of drama behind it, but we're making a show and that's not going to show up. But that's how I attach some of the scenes to my head. It's like just my life.
Right. You mentioned it, so I have to bring it up. I am one of those people that has been analyzing gnomes.
Yeah.
And when I reached out to you for an interview, you had mentioned in one of your messages, you're like, oh, I know why gnomes. And I'm like, don't say anything. Let's talk about this. So right. you got the official why gnomes are in home movies story.
Okay. So the gnome first appeared in the episode where Shannon beats up Jason and then Brendan tries to get revenge by picking a fight.
That was
and then
the art of the sucker punch. Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, he invites them to a birthday party at his house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure who designed the house, but usually whoever has a scene gets to design the house, which is very rare in animation. Just as long as it kind of fits the way that we draw backgrounds there, then it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think we drew a gnome. I don't know. D. Boyd did the scene where he sucker punches Shannon in the gut and then celebrates by picking up the gnome. The gnome was there. She used it as a prop. She was just like, he's excited. He picks up the gnome and then runs off and starts celebrating with it.
Yep.
And starts doing the little celebration things at the end. And I remember I wanted to be part of it. So I did the part where he spins it on his head and does a little like football touchdown celebration.
Yeah.
And I might have done that. I'm not clear, but it might have been some celebration that happened or someone was doing in Boston. Like I added some Boston things to it. Like I think I don't know what scene it did, but I remember I added something that Red Sox baseball player did. Nomar Garcia Parra, I think. Like he did a ritual before he went to bat, and I did that thing, the same exact thing with his gloves. No one caught it, but to me, it's there. And I remember that scene. Okay, that episode was very early on, right?
Yes.
When I was there, I actually was at the time a big MMA fan, and then MMA wasn't as big as it is now.
Right.
Like back then, it was like, oh, you watch MMA? That's sketchy.
Yeah.
But I was really into it. And then Ivan Rudrick, he was a black belt in Taekwondo, and I remember I really wanted the fight scene, right? So I did the scene where he grabs his nose and slams it on his knee, right?
Yeah.
Because I wanted like, okay, I want the shaky camera. To do the shaky camera in Animator Pro took knowing both the Avid and Animator Pro. So like I would mask out the edges of the camera on the outside, and then in the inside would be animated. So it looked like a shaky camera. Right now, as I see it, it's like, oh, it looks kind of crappy. But but that was the idea. So I remember I brought like a tape of not Ken Shamrock, Frank Shamrock fighting in Japan. I don't know how much you are into MMA, but it was like early MMA. And I remember excited, like, I really love MMA. I'm showing it to these people. And I remember everyone was watching it and they were like, it's just two guys running around in a missionary position. And I was just like, okay, I can see what you're saying, but okay. I am not going to animate them rolling around in the missionary position. I'm going to figure out some way to make it a little brutal. And then, his nose was there. So it was a pretty obvious thing to do. And I think Dee was also, she liked fighting too. And then she wanted to do the sucker punch part. So we kind of split the scene up. But after that, like, I think the gnome was supposed to be done for, but we kept inserting the gnome like in his bed and then sometimes using it as as one of the characters in the movies. And then eventually it became a thing. Like we tried very hard to insert it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I was into it or not into it. I know I had like memorable instances where I put it in, where like I put it in, like I think Phil said I put it in a jar.
Yes.
And he's floating. And I think it might have been like a slight protest. Like I'm going to make this ridiculous. Like,
so were there literal like camps of like certain animators were pro gnome and other animators were like, stop with the gnome?
I think most people were pro gnome. I think I might have been like, it's fun, but it's not that important.
It's not that deep.
Yeah, but like everyone's trying to vie to see who can put in a gnome, and like too much gnome would be too bad. Like, so you got to make sure that like maybe it will only do two gnome things, or mostly like try to keep it to one gnome.
Right.
But I don't know what the rule was, like who got to decide where the gnome got to go. But I do remember like when I actually directed that episode in Bob's Burgers, I really wanted to try like where Bob is. He became the soccer coach for Luis. I did that. I directed that episode, and I tried so hard to insert a gnome there.
Yeah.
But there's just too many. Hollywood's like they got their shit together way more than we did back then. Like I would have to go through like lots of bureaucracy to just try to get a gnome inside there. And even then it's like I have to luck out to meet someone that was like really into home movies at the time.
Yeah. Well, that very episode has a character in it, one of the kids on the soccer team, that does look a little bit like Brendan Small.
Yeah, because like I know it was purposeful that Lauren wanted Melissa to voice Melissa, the character that had two buffs in her hair. And as I was directing it, I was trying to insert Brendan in there. Yeah. And I remember everything's kind of like, so like everything's divided there, like character designers, even prop designers. So there's a design team and the storyboard team. Yeah. So those two have to kind of work together, but they're kind of separate from each other. So like the design department was they want everything very organized within the extras library. So they wanted you to use a specific people that were designed by the designers, but I wanted a Brendan looking character in there. Yeah. Within like, Bob's Burger style. And I drew it in the storyboard, just like I don't know why the scene was there anyway. It was kind of like a cutaway. I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, okay, the kid there could be Brendan. I remember I had a hard time just trying to get the design department like the design lead there, he was actually like, "Who's this guy?" I was like, "Come on, just put him, just show Lauren it. He'll go for it. He'll go for it." And the thing is, like over there, it was like Bento Box, which is department of like Fox Animation. There, like if you're in Hollywood, it's very different. Like there's a structure there. There's like a pipeline to kind of protect talent from people that just are taking up their time.
Sure.
Say like a crazy fan would show up at the studio.
Yeah.
And there would be people that kind of just will play, will kind of shield them from things so that they can get their work done.
Yeah.
So it was very like, even though I know Lauren for like my whole professional career, it was just really hard to actually tell him like, "Hey, you're going to let this Brendan guy through." Right? So I didn't know it was going to go through until the very end. Like when I saw it on TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, it finally got through. It made his hair red and everything. I'm so glad that you got through." But yeah, it was actually it was harder than I anticipated.
Yeah.
Because Hollywood.
Yeah. How did you enjoy directing an episode versus, just doing like storyboard or animation and stuff like that?
Oh, that's a weird one. It's like culturally, it's very different.
Sure.
Like just East Coast, where I'm from. Like I'm still living in Rhode Island and Massachusetts area versus like LA.
Yeah.
Like going there, I don't know how to describe it. You know how like everyone has a stereotype that LA people are fake?
Sure.
Kind of like that, but they're not really fake. This is the reality.
Yeah.
Like they might say that whole thing like, "Yeah, love it. Let's do it. Let's have coffee." Like them saying that is equivalent to saying like, "I'll see you later,"
Right. Right.
So the way when I was directing, I panicked a lot. Like I was panicking because everyone seemed like they were laid back. Like it was actually around this time where Comic-Con was happening during the time I was directing.
Yeah.
And like my whole team it felt to me like the whole team just left to do Comic-Con rather than work on the episode. And I was losing it.
Yeah.
And the supervising director, like I remember showing him the thumbs that we did, and he changed everything. It felt like he changed everything. To me, it felt like he changed everything. Like everything that was going left, he wanted to make it go right. And doing that doesn't we'll change everything going right on the first shot. We'll change everything that comes afterwards. It's like, "Oh, I only had one fix." Like, no, we're fixing the whole thing. So I was in a panic, but everyone else, they gave me an assistant, and he was just like, "Oh, that's what they do." It's like, it's a typical scene. So I think the meeting went well. I'm like, "No, this is a studio killer. We're gonna waste millions of dollars. This is several millions of dollars episode." That's a big difference between Bob's and home movies. It's just like the decimal point is a little bit further.
Right.
And I just like, we're redoing everything, and everyone's at Comic-Con, and everyone seems behind. And one of the girls left to go another job. Even the head of design that I was trying to get Brennan in with, he left because he got offered a job at Nickelodeon.
Oh,
and they were just like, "No, it's fine." It's like, okay. To me, it's like your project is exploding in front of you, but to them, it's just like, "Oh, people have dreams in Hollywood." I don't know if you know this, but people really have dreams of doing something else. That really cute assistant director? Yeah, she wants to be an actress.
You see that actress? She wants to be a director.
Yeah. Did you ever notice that everyone at that diner, like everyone that worked there, was ridiculously hot? Like, yes, I did. Like, it was like it was in a soap opera. But everyone there, they have dreams. They want to do other things. Some of them want to be writers. Some of them want to, direct. But not everyone can do it. So you got to take a job on the side. And if you can get a job in the ballpark rather than, work at a coffee shop, then you're closer to your dream,
Yeah.
But there's also things built into the Hollywood system to prevent you from achieving. Yeah, but that's another podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, as far as home movies is concerned, now you told me that you might go back and watch a couple episodes just, I guess, in preparation for this interview.
Yeah.
Did you ever like revisit the show once you were done with it, or are you the type of guy where you're like, okay, that's over, we're done here, and you don't really consume it afterwards?
I'm more like I don't consume it afterwards, but
Yeah.
I remember my brother watched it a lot, like
Yeah.
afterwards, and he would talk about it and rave about it. And I was just trying to look for my next job.
Right. Right. What other projects did you work on between home movies and now Bob's Burgers?
It was mostly like soup to nuts stuff when
Yeah.
the studio changed its name to Soup to Nuts. I think the next one was like O'Grady, and then I left officially as full time, and then I got hired as a freelancer on Word Girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then once I got Bob's Burger stuff, then by then the studio dissolved, and then I think all my connections were basically bento box stuff.
Yeah. Have you been on Bob's Burgers from the very beginning?
Second season.
Second season.
I think the first episode I worked on was Shark, shark, mechanical shark that goes down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was my first one. I did work a little bit on the one where the Taffy, they go in. I don't know how well you know Bob's Burgers, but
not as well as home movies, but I do watch Bob's Burgers. I watch a lot of The Great North too. I really like that show as well.
Yeah, I never got a chance to watch it, to work on that much.
So just a little like hometown lore for me. My grade school, like 7th, 8th grade history teacher was Nick Offerman's dad.
Oh.
Yeah. So I remember being a little kid and him talking about having to get cable because his son was doing a voice on some animation. This was late 90s. But yeah, like watching Nick Offerman just kind of blow up the way he has, like it's, we went to the same high school, but I graduated years and years and years after he did. So
Nick, he's the guy that he did, was it X Cop? Did he do X Cop?
Yeah. X Cop. And then, he was on Parks and Recs was, I think, when he really started blowing up. But yeah, he does the voice of the main character on The Great North.
And then he made the entire world cry with his performance on The Last of Us.
Yes, exactly.
I was like, Axe Cop did that? I was like, that's Axe Cop. No.
He's such an amazing actor. And it's so funny too, because he gets all these like manly, like, man, I'm a man kind of roles. And he's like, I'm a theater dork, you guys. I'm playing pretend. I wanted to do this, since I was a kid. And everyone's like, "Oh, you're a manly man." He's like, "I'm an actor."
I do a little bit with like woodworking, but
yeah,
I'm my wife is mad.
Yeah, exactly.
Megan Mulaney.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, as far as home movies goes, do you have a favorite episode, either that you worked on or an episode that after it came out you watched and you're like, "Hey, that was a good one"?
Oh, I don't know. I really got to watch it. Everything.
Yeah.
Again. No, I think like the memory is like really like all over the place.
Sure.
But I remember it's like, you like to quote it, but some things I like to quote out as like, I don't know why I said that, but like the septopus. I always say like septopus, the monster with 7 testicles. Yes. And everyone's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, did you know the video game in that episode is actually the monster with 7 testicles?
Is that what?
Where like Fenton is playing the Game Boy,
right?
And then he's shooting a monster.
Yeah,
and he has tentacles, but it also has testicles.
Yeah,
I didn't do that. I think Alan might have done that.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite thing that you were able to kind of sneak into either a background shot or an episode or a reference that you're like, yeah, that one was just for me?
It's hard to say. Oh, well, let me just answer your previous question. Now, It's weird because I told you that I really get really emotional about my episodes. So like it was actually, whenever I watch my own work, it's a little hard.
Sure.
Because I just see all the problems and like the drama I've had in that episode with like probably the other animators. So actually like watching episodes I didn't work on, like I actually like laughed my ass off on like episodes that I didn't work on. So they're like, I think one season they split the teams into one, like Team A and Team B, and then I was on Team A, and then every Team B episodes I thought were hilarious.
Yeah.
Like it's like for some reason the one where McGurk starts working out on a pec machine where he just gets really large pecs.
Yeah.
And then his pecs blow out and he's holding his boobs in the shower.
Yeah.
I think Alan did that, and I remember laughing my ass off. And I was just like, because I don't expect everything. Like I might have listened to the audio, but
yeah,
like I haven't wrapped my head around the episode. Like when I work on an episode, like I have an idea of what the show would look like, and if it doesn't match the episode, then I'll get all like OCD and start having like triggered moments where I'm just like very grouchy.
Yeah.
So that's the weird part. What's the second question again?
The second question is anything you've been able to like sneak into a shot or in the background or something that like your favorite little thing that you've been able to kind of get into an episode, even if it was just for you.
Oh, it's hard to remember. I know I got stuff deleted a lot. And I took pride in it, where I thought if you're not getting censored, then you're not doing your job again. I remember getting religious stuff like out of there. Like they didn't want that stuff.
Yeah.
I snuck things in the background that someone spotted later on, and they would remove it. I'm not going to mention it.
No,
because right now it's just like, oh yeah, they did the right thing removing it. very, very, very immature.
Right.
Like I don't know. It's kind of hard because like this is my 20-year-old self.
Right.
And then I don't know. It's not like I'm a different person. It's like the times have changed, but I stay the
same. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I snuck, like, while in a driving scene, I snuck in a clown, like, hanging from the back.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if I watched it now, if I could even see it again.
Yeah.
There was something where, like, when Paula crashes her car and then what are those two kids again? Perry?
Walter and Perry.
They showed up, and I remember I snuck something in there, but I forget what I snuck in. It had something to do with that big tree going by. I don't think I didn't put the clown hung. I don't know what I had against clowns, but
yeah,
it was just whatever I could sneak in. But
yeah,
I had a lot of things, like always. I think what they called it was standards.
Sure.
That was the entity that they called that found things and said like, no, you shouldn't do that.
Right.
So like I always, whenever I got called out on stuff, wherever I snuck it by, it was good.
Yeah.
It was Adult Swim. You should try it for those things,
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right. Well, I think, Damon, I just got one more question for you, and then we can go ahead and wrap it. This is just kind of a more general question, because I remember when I listened to some early commentary of home movies, and, they were talking about in the early 2000s, the amount of like a jump in technology that they had from when they started on home movies versus, 2005 or 6 or whenever they were recording commentary. Yeah. So now that we're in 2025 and technology has just jumped leaps and bounds, do you have any advice for someone who wants to get into like animation or illustration right now? Is there anything you would recommend them, maybe downloading or trying to?
It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if they want to get into it, I don't know. Like, who am I talking to? Like, I think like my first question would be like, who's my audience? Right.
Right.
Like who am I talking to? Like I would have different advice for like different parts of the city, like some parts of the city, I would say, get into film school, and other parts of the city is like, don't pursue porn. Like some people actually think porn is a way of getting into the industry. I'm like, you can, but chances are you're not going to get rid of that stain on your resume.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there are people that actually done it, but it takes a lot of work, like the strategy. Like there are some stories of people that got into porn and then somehow made their way out of it, but they used it some way, like they were smart about it.
Right. Well, let's use me as an example. I'm pretty tech savvy. I'm not super great with like actual drawing, but I'm pretty good with like graphic design. I've got a pretty decent eye for design. What if I wanted to try to learn how to do animation?
I would Well, yeah, my first question would be like, is it 2D or 3D? Or are you into like traditional animation? Because
Right. Let's say 2D.
2D, like if you were like diehard like Disney person that wanted to do and get into that, I would recommend watching Aaron Blaise videos. He was a Walt Disney animator and he did other things too. Brother Bear, I think. Yeah, he's a very good teacher in 2D animation, but that requires you to draw like like you have to be like Leonardo da Vinci quality artist. But if you're not that, I would, I don't know. There's Aaron Blaze and then there's everybody else. You'll get tidbits here and there from everybody else. There might be other animators out there that are doing some good stuff, but I mean, there are some that are like that worked in anime, like they worked in Japan. Like those guys, I would try to pay attention to because that's something that I'm not really good at, and they have a different technique to how to work, and that seems to be a popular thing right now. And like if you're into anime, then you should seek out those guys. But for me, like I'm very American, so I'm like Walt Disney. So Aaron Blaise is the dude, and is there software that he works with? It would be he used to work on what was it software called TV Paint. But that's actually a pretty expensive thing to work to dedicate yourself to. But if you have an iPad, Procreate actually has an animation.
Oh, okay.
Software. It's called Procreate Dreams. You could learn on that, and I think there's another one out there that is kind of like Procreate Dreams. Squid Tune, I think it's called. And they're like Procreate Dreams is only like $20 when I bought it, so that's cheap. That's way cheaper than like getting subscription to Adobe and paying like $50 to $70 a month.
Yeah.
And Aaron Blaise worked on, I think he did a short with Procreate Dreams, and he has some tutorials working on it. And there's a lot of people that have tutorials on it. I bought it thinking that I was going to work on it, but honestly, I haven't done anything with it yet. I'm a little lost. And as I get older, I'm just like, oh man, I'm not with this technology anymore. But again, I think like with other advice, like Chris Georginas is just like, it's a tool for you to work in. And if you want to make a movie, you have to just dedicate it yourself to learning that software and trying to go with it. Because you can go to animation school and do that stuff, but it's still like a lot of work to learn animation. And to get over that hump of the bouncing ball and a walk sequence and then like acting with the face. Those are like things that you have to do firsthand. You can't just skip it.
Right.
And if I ever give anyone advice is to if you're going to learn it, do a film and have that film be your demo reel when you shop yourself around. Because once you get into business, it's almost hard to work on your own stuff.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I mean, like time where you have most time to work on it and the most energy to work on your own stuff is usually when you're just trying to get into the industry. But when you're in the industry, it's almost like your energy is zapped. You're like, oh my god, I have free time. I can finally work on my. Oh wow, I'm just really tired right now. And next thing I know, it's just like, oh, we started the new season again. Okay, I gotta get back to doing this and dedicating my energy to this other person's dream. Which is, like I've been dedicating my energy to like Lauren Burchard stuff. And, he's a friend and I like working on his stuff, but I also have stuff that I want to put out, but just to drag my ass out and draw. It's like it's a chore now. Like I'm getting paid for it, but the money has ruined art for me. Now it's a job and now everything's like a certain way. Like, how like art is subjective.
Yeah.
But once you get paid, it becomes objective. So it's like there's a certain way to do things and you have to adhere to it. And then like, I don't know, like you try to, I don't know, find the love for it. I don't know. It sounds cheesy, but there's like part of me romanticizes that I will do like like pencil and paper animation, and someone's gonna paint it with ink. But I don't know. It's right now at this time, if you can do your own animation with the they're available right now. Like some of the tools are even free. Like if you're not willing to spend $20, which is not that much,
right?
There's Blender. It's a 3D program, but it has 2D aspects in it. And if you teach yourself Blender, you can be adept at both 2D and 3D. In Blender, you can also edit in it. But another free program is DaVinci Resolve. You can do color grading, you can do video editing, and it's all free. Yeah. And if you wanted to get into live action, just buy yourself a Blackmagic video camera, which is the same company that produces DaVinci Resolve, and you get a free copy of the pro version of DaVinci Resolve. It's like, and I think it's reflected. Like there's a lot of people that do stuff on YouTube that looks nothing like the cheap stuff that we did back in the 2000s.
Right.
It's weird because in my head the 2000s was not that far away, but then when I think about it, it's like we were like 640 by 480, 720 by 40. Like I remember those numbers burned into my head. Like I know all this stuff, like interlaced video, and I had explained to it. I remember in home movies and every show that was at Tom Snyder that me and Davio and some others were fighting really hard to have it at the aspect ratio of what HD was. But we were getting so much pushback to keep it to standard definition so that the old people can watch it.
You know how old people love their cartoons about 8-year-olds making movies.
I know there was so much pushback, and it didn't die down until like 2008 or something. Where like we're going to go HD all the way, and we're at 4K now, so it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's very different now, and like video cameras can capture way more color than it did back then.
Yeah,
the only thing that's kind of the same is like audio. Microphones hasn't changed that much. The software might clean up stuff a little bit better, but the real audio files that they can hear it.
Oh yeah.
In fact, it probably went backwards. And with I almost feel like analog audio was almost like romanticized, but when you do hear it on a strong like sound system, you're like, oh yeah, this is like better than live.
Yeah. I deal with it with this podcast, and it's like, what buttons on this touch screen do I need to press to make this sound better? And it's like, man, they figured it out back in the day. I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah, the audio engineer is like, if you want your stuff to look professional, it's actually the audio that you have to tackle. Like, you can actually make nice video look like crap with shitty audio. It's weird. It's like a mental thing. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so if you're going to do a film, you can worry about the visuals. But if you're going to spend your money, put it on someone that knows their audio.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that is very good advice.
Okay. Anything else? I feel like we're missing some stuff. Like, have you figured out Paula, like when they switched Paula Poundstone to...
Yeah, to Janine DiTullio. Yeah, I basically, from a lot of what I was reading, like Paula Poundstone just kind of, she's like, I'm not really feeling this character, not really my vibe. And then she moved away from the show, and then they brought in Janine DiTullio. I personally, like, I do enjoy the UPN 5.
Yeah, she was like on the top of her game at the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I enjoy the UPN 5, but Janine DiTullio and like the Adult Swim run, like that's my favorite home movies.
The UPN one that you like?
No. The Adult Swim run. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You said season 3 or 2 is your favorite?
Season 3, I think probably overall is my favorite.
Oh, what was your favorite episode and scene? Question.
As far as season 3 goes, typically the 2 episodes, if I'm trying to introduce the show to somebody and they're not familiar with it at all, I will show them Renaissance and Guitarmageddon.
Guitarmageddon. Oh,
I
don't think I worked on either of those episodes.
Renaissance, just with the Renaissance Fair and that whole vibe and McGurk showing up. kind of still drunk from the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one always gets me. And then Guitarmageddon is a very Dwayne heavy episode where he's going up against Jimmy Monet in the guitar contest.
Yeah. I didn't work on those, but I remember Davio worked on it because he's a big Van Halen fan.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, Davio's been a great source of information whenever I have questions about background characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's Dave Sanangelo. That was his nickname. Davio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I figured that out very early on. So when I started seeing Davio written in like yearbooks or Davio's Hard Lemonade, I actually got the reference. I was like, hey, all right.
Yeah, I think that's his email. That's why everyone called him Davio.
That's funny. Do you have like a favorite moment working on the show? It doesn't necessarily have to be like specifically about working on the show, but just something that happened while working on the show that you'll always remember.
Oh, I always hated this, but it was not like a favorite moment, but it was like a moment where like, man, I really gotta get my shit together and not be such a hothead. I was actually rude to Louis C.K. when he came out.
Oh, shit.
I remember Lauren was just showing him around, like, oh, there's the animation part, there's Damon. And I was just like, I was not happy with his performance as his dad. I was just grumpy.
Wow.
And I was just rude to him. And I remember Louis C.K. just being like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid, right? And then you kind of ushered him away. But then I remember like years later, like my brother was like the biggest Louis C.K. like fan, and like he loved his stand up, and he loved like Louis the show.
Yeah.
This was of course before he was Me Too.
Right.
But yeah, I remember my brother was like, I can't believe you were rude to him. I was just like yeah, I gotta get my shit together. I shouldn't be rude to you. This is detrimental to me. I gotta get my act together. Yeah, I've been working on that. So it's like if I keep, you say all these like, oh, all these people are wonderful that work on the show, and like, oh, I'm like, part of me cringes because like, oh, I was kind of difficult. It's like I don't even know why people like part of the people, all of my friends at Soup to Nuts liked it when I got like difficult. They actually loved it when I was uncomfortable because someone did something crappy in a scene, and I think they just find it funny. And I think like even though I felt crappy, it was just like like some people are just like if they're in a bad mood, they're actually funnier.
Right.
So I think that's what happened a lot, and I was just like in a bad mood. Like I would get in a bad mood for some things. And I probably took the show way too serious than I should have, that was that. And then, it was a good growing experience. I would have never gotten that lesson in production and animation on any other production on TV. Cause I said this in another podcast, like we didn't know what we were doing. So we were kind of making it up as we go along, but we were also like, some of us knew what we were doing. So
yeah,
we wanted to push it, and we had a chance to push some things there. I mean, we didn't get to do full blown like Walt Disney anime like fight sequences, but you would have to have the right project, and being that home movies, they did movies here and there. You got a chance to do that, and sometimes it didn't matter if it's a movie or not. You got to try to flex your film technique on the show. I remember like Davio and me would always like we both had a philosophy of like, where's the weirdest place you could put the camera,
Yeah.
And then that was that, and there's no way I could do that on Bob's Burgers. Like there's a formula to Bob's Burgers, and you have to adhere to it, and you have to work within it to try to feel artistically fulfilled.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of interaction with the Bob's Burgers fan base?
Like I'll chime in on the Facebook page, but it's on and off sometimes. Like
yes,
a lot of them are friendly, but some of the fan base are like, I don't know, some like a lot of shows and stuff. Sometimes they have like a fan base that are overly serious.
Sure.
Like I think on Word Girl, there's a guy that contacted me and he wanted me to clarify some information, and I clarified it. But he told me like, no, that's not true at all. I read it somewhere that's totally different, and I was like, no, I wasn't there. Like I didn't work on that show. You're saying I worked on the show. It's like the credit on IMDb is wrong. I didn't work on the show. And he's like, no, you did work on the show. So how was she like? She's a fine person. I talked to her, but I never worked with her on the show. I know those fans can be cumbersome, but if you understand, like, actually, like, they might actually have a little bit of autism going on. So it's like you gotta know where they're coming from and like just say, okay,
yeah.
Good.
It's I'm sure it's a fine line to walk because there's always appreciation. You appreciate fans of things you create. You wouldn't be where you were today if it weren't for fans. So but
it's like love hate, mostly hate love, but there's also sometimes where you're like, whoa, like I think in Comic-Con, I think I actually went to the Bob's Burger. What do they call those things? Like
the panel or
a panel, and I sat down next to a person dressed up as Linda, and they were like very rude to me. Like they didn't want me sitting there, and I'm like, I draw you. You're very rude to me. But they didn't know I worked on the show. It's just like some kid that just thought he could sit down anywhere next to me and told me to move my Comic-Con gear. But it's very surreal. And then it's a little odd. Like, I don't know. Like I'm a fan of things. I can be a fan, but it's just hard imagining a certain like disconnect that this might just be a fictional thing.
Right.
To some people, it's like it's serious.
Right.
And more serious than you think. Like even that girl I dated, she's like, it helped me through my marriage. I'm like, home movies help you through your divorce. It's like, like how? Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I still don't understand. But then she described like her marriage, and I'm like, okay, I still don't understand.
Yeah, there's something about what you cling on to for comfort in times of need. I remember at one point in my life, I was going through a very bad relationship, and I weirdly like found this podcast and clung on to it. And it helped me like really figure some stuff out. And if I reached out to that person and was like, your podcast really helped me during a bad relationship, they'd be like, what?
I would say the same thing. Like when my brother passed away, there was a SpongeBob episode that like would kill me. It was like, I think Squidward accidentally, he knows that SpongeBob ate a cake that was going to explode at any moment. And he didn't want to tell SpongeBob he's going to die. But so he spent like the whole day trying to check off everything on SpongeBob's bucket list, which is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But like after my brother passed away, to me that like hit me so hard. Like I was like, oh my God, Squidward is such a good friend. And I couldn't handle myself. It was like worse than watching the first 5 minutes of Up. But if I met the person that did it, I would have just like lost myself all over. Like, and they'll be like, "Oh, dude, I just wrote this. I thought it was funny."
Yeah. It's when you have something that you've probably seen that episode before, and you're like, "Yeah, what a goofy episode." But when you see this stuff from a different perspective, you're just like, "Oh wow, it kind of hits me in a different way now." So. There's a difference between like I worked on it and then like I'm viewing it. So, right.
Yeah. Like it means different stuff to like everybody, basically. It means different stuff. But like to work on it is like you're trying to figure out things technically, emotionally, but in a very technical way. Like, like, okay, this is the funniest joke in the story, but we got to delete it because it's interfering with the plot. And the plot, the story is more important than the joke. But, to me, it's like, the joke is more important.
But it's a good joke.
And then I would, spend a lot of emotional energy on, like, we should get back to the joke. I'm like, get the joke. Oh, come on. Can I at least show this to someone so that at least someone will laugh? Because I don't want to waste a good joke. There's a lot of that. There was a lot of that in home movies because it was always edited down, because I think the politics of it was that, to me, it was like the audio editors are listening to this like 100 times. That by the 50th time, the joke is not funny anymore.
Right.
But you got to look at it fresh. Like, like think about it as like when you first heard the joke, it's hilarious, but you are deleting the joke because you listened to it the 100th time, and it hurts when you know that joke existed and it's just now gone to like the digital, wherever digital information goes in the universe. And the thing is like, yeah, it's like you need that to happen though for someone to grow as artists.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, if I was to have an animation class, I would have these students animate for like a good 2 weeks. And then at the end of 2 weeks, I would tell them, yeah, just delete whatever you were doing and do this thing. And this is going to help you work in the industry because you don't want to be that person that is crying in a corner and not able to work. 2 weeks are wasted. You got to get used to your work getting deleted because it's gonna happen at least like 5 times a year. I think it goes for the same with like working on the audio. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sort of like attending a concert and everyone rocked out there, but you know, it wasn't recorded, so it's just in everybody's memories, and it's still valuable in that sense. But I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's mostly like you should get your heart broken before you decide, like maybe 2 or 3 times before you decide to get married.
Yeah. You know, I kind of feel the way about comedy. If comedy wasn't just a series of rejections over and over again, I think it wouldn't grow us into these people that, you know, one, are used to the rejection, but 2, know how to maneuver it and adjust accordingly when it does happen. So it's a very important life lesson, I think.
Yeah. And I think it was like Lauren, is very different from other creators where like they feel like producers and heads of studios or heads of like networks don't know what they're talking about. But he actually trusts what they're saying more than the like other auteurs of like film. Like he was like, oh, they must have like they've seen a lot of things, so
yeah,
their opinions are valid, if anything, more valid than just the average person. Not just the show, but just like how the network is gonna go.
Yeah,
like where they're going with the network. Like in that sense, it's like he's very, very great to work with because I don't want to say agreeable, but you know he's fun to work with.
Yeah,
he wasn't like the way I describe myself, where I'm just very rigid. It's just like I used to have a saying is like there's a right way, the wrong way, and the Wong way. And the way to do it is the Wong way because you know it's I don't know. I used to have a saying. I gotta tone it down. But yeah, I don't know. Confidence is also very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I get that. It's for me, it's finding that perfect kind of balance of confidence, but not ego. And yeah, that's been the tough one for me.
Yeah. Comedy it's kind of pure in that, you know, it's like what you're aiming for is just to make someone laugh.
Yeah. And the other thing with it is the feedback is immediate. I can tell you right now that nobody's laughing. And so that kind of will mess with your flow and stuff like that. It's not like you pour your heart and soul into this thing and then show it to them and then you get the feedback. It's all so instantaneous that it's tough.
It must be rough because it's actually you rather than like when I do it. It's like I finish the animation, I put it in front of the audience, I watch them watch it, while you is like they're watching me and they're not laughing, and I know they're drunk. They're not laughing, you know?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I was talking to some newer comics last night at the open mic, and running a comedy open mic is I tell them, I'm like, it's like working at a high school. You see the new classes come in. I've been doing it long enough that I'm like, yep, you're going to drop out. So some of them move on, some of them graduate, some of them go on to bigger and better things, but it's very high school like with the kind of cycle of people and stuff like that. It's interesting to watch at the very least, I'll say that.
It's a very interesting art form.
Yeah.
Hope it goes well.
Well, I appreciate that. And honestly, man, like you're doing Bob's Burgers. You're talking about Lauren kind of trusting the heads, and I mean they got to know something. You guys are about to hit your 300th episode, so congratulations to you, and not just everything you've done with home movies, which obviously I appreciate so much, but just everything you do in general, man. Like, again, I'm a huge fan, and I can't thank you enough for not just what you do, but taking the time to talk to me. This has been an absolute pleasure to chat with you.
Oh yeah, and I don't get. Well, I've actually done 2 other podcasts, but it's always weird to me
Yeah,
that other people like my stuff sometimes.
yeah,
Or whatever I work on, and it's like, to me sometimes it just becomes like almost like a job, sometimes a chore, because there's other things that go on with it where it's just there's personalities involved, and you're kind of in my own little world where, like, but it's almost equivalent, like, okay, like maybe I worked at a fast food joint, and then some guy later on in my life comes by and like, oh, I really love the way you fried those fries. like, oh, okay.
Well, I know you view it like that, but and trust me, I understand, like, the being a creative type and the feeling like a chore. I relate to that so hard, but I think you should take a little hit of confidence, knowing that not only the thing you're working on now has this huge fan base behind it, but home movies that show that you watch clips of and cringe and be like, I can't believe it looked like that. It means so much to so many people. And I know to you, maybe it was just another job or whatever, but man, when I listen to commentary and talk to some other people that worked on this show, they all have very high opinions of you, Damon, and your abilities. So you don't sell yourself short, man. Like, there's a reason you're doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah. Well, it's a little hard with, like, I don't know how old you are, but like once you hit like midlife, you start to creep into like imposter syndrome. You're like,
Oh yeah,
where am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to be? And you're like second guessing your life choices. And you're just like, did I really dedicate my life to this? I could have, if I had a video game, if this was a video game, I could replay it totally different.
No, I get that. I'm a little bit older than my co-host, so I'm in my early 40s. So the midlife thing, the imposter syndrome thing, like, dude, I feel it. I understand completely. So
yeah, and I don't know. Okay, yeah, I guess so.
yeah, so, but feel how you will about your own work. I'm here to let you know right now. You've got a lot of fans, whether they know you specifically, know you by name, or just are familiar with your work, as in, being a fan of home movies or Bob's Burgers. People enjoy the show, and it's yeah, very much thanks to you. So,
do we do anything like shout out any future products?
Yeah, actually, this is the perfect time. If you've got anything you want to plug or promote, now would be the time to do it.
And I'm not promoting myself, but when I first got on Bob's Burgers, I was working under director Tyree Dillahay. He is now working on, like, today they actually released a trailer for a movie that he's now a director for by Sony Animation, and he worked under Steph Curry.
Oh, awesome.
It's a GOAT, so it's going to get released next year on All-Star Weekend, I think. It's about a GOAT playing basketball. so shout out to him. Very talented, probably one of the most talented people, like stylistically, probably one of the most talented people I know from Bob's Burgers.
Oh, wow. Is this going to be is this a feature-length film, or is this?
Yeah, it's feature-length. It's just the same company that does Spider-Verse, and it was a K-pop Demon Hunters. Like, he left Bob's Burgers, and then he just like really, you're working with Steph Curry?
That's amazing.
The best shooter in the entire history of NBA basketball. Okay. So yeah, I'm proud of what he's done, because like he was fun to work with in Bob's Burgers. There's a lot of fun episodes that we did, and like it was sad like seeing him go, but you kind of like, he's bigger than this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people knew he was big, like bigger than Bob's Burgers, even though Bob's Burgers is pretty big. But it's just like Yeah, go, like spread your wings, fly.
That's awesome. So you said the movie is called Goat and it's coming out next year?
Yeah, goat. Yeah, aspiring basketball goat. This this kid can ball. I think that's the thing. But yeah, he was a big sneakerhead. He actually worked on an episode. Like he worked on a show that was not received very well on Netflix.
Oh no!
But he actually let me work part time on it, and he actually snuck. He actually was like trying to give a pep talk to the team, saying, "This is what we do on this show. It's supposed to be visually beautiful. Like it's supposed to be stylistic and exciting to watch. Not like home movies. Have you guys ever seen home movies?"
Oh no!
And he was like, "Yeah, don't do it like home movies. You know what home?" I was like, I quietly said in a Zoom meeting, "It's like I worked on that episode." And he was like, "Oh," and I don't know if he was giving me shit.
Yeah,
because he would be the kind of give me shit, but he did sound like he was being truthful. But then he was like, "Oh yeah, home movies. Shout out Lauren Bashar." And he kept on going, and I was like, I get you. I understand what you're trying to say. You know, I know what we're trying to aim for in this movie, on this show that we're working on. Still, though, are you like singling me out of this 20 artists that are listening to you right now?
I get what you're saying, but also, ouch.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. We both worked with Lauren, you know. Anyway. Anyway, promoting his show because he's very talented.
Awesome. Well, yeah, definitely check that out. Goat coming out next year. And Damon, thanks again for talking to me, man. It was such an honor.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good rest of your night. I'll talk to you.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
You later.
Bye.
Right, you too. Bye.
That's going to do it for this episode of Rewatching Home Movies. Thanks again to Damon Wong for the interview. And thanks to Chris Bongat for the theme song and Nick for the refresh of our logo. If you liked what you heard, check out our Linktree at linktree/RHMPod. There you can like, follow, and subscribe. Send us an email to request free stickers or leave us a 5-star review. I will read 5-star reviews on the podcast. Join us next week while we break down the interview with Damon Wong and recap the entire podcast. On behalf of myself, Tim, and my co-host Marcin and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.